So this video is going to be detailing spinal cars, starting with the neck, and we're going to do the thoracic and lumbar spine together, and then we're going to do segmental spinal movement on the ground. So here we go. We're going to get right into it. Hopefully you've seen some of these videos already. If you haven't seen the how to use cars video, definitely watch that, because it does, in that video I use neck cars as a demonstration, so that will be helpful for this. But if you haven't watched that, watch that first, just so you understand the concept of cars and why we use them and how we use them. So here we go. Neck cars. Irradiation, breathing in. Gently packing that air down with a contraction. And we're starting chin to the chest. Rest of the body is still and controlled. Now we turn our head to the left, bringing our chin towards our collarbone. Once we get there, we keep turning as much as we can and drop the left ear to the shoulder. Let the neck come backwards, chin to the ceiling. Here, rolling, turning to the right. Right ear, right shoulder. Once we get there, bring that chin all the way around. Keep rotating as much as you can. Chin to the collarbone, chin towards the armpit, down to center, and we reset. We're going to go the other direction. Chin to the chest, chin to the collarbone, rotating, feeling your face and neck and head turn to the right. Once you run out of space there, as long as you're not feeling any pain, you drop that right ear to the right shoulder. Back behind you, head drops behind you, chin to the ceiling, around to the left. Remember, if you get pinching, you adjust. We don't move through pinching, we don't move through pain. This is pain-free range of motion. Back to the center. So that is a neck car. I'm going to do another one just to show you without any descriptions. You can follow along if you'd like. Now we're going to get into the rest of the spine. So for this, what we want to do is either put our hands across our chest or fully give ourselves a nice big hug. This is going to help to really isolate movement through the thoracic spine. So here, it's like when we're doing these spinal cars, it's like our pelvis is in cement. That's not going anywhere. We're not drifting around here. We're isolating this movement to the spinal joints. So we don't want any of this kind of cool stuff happening. We want just steady as a rock, control through this entire movement. So because I'm wearing a microphone here, I'm going to just put my hands across my chest. You can do a full hug, whatever feels best for you. So we're going to start flexion of this whole spine, so meaning the spine is coming forward. Pelvis stays still, head drops down, our rib cage is rolling forward as much as we can. Once we reach the end of that range of motion, we're going to rotate ourselves to the left. We keep rotating as much as we can until we hit the end of our range of motion. Then we drop our left shoulder to our left hip. So here we're looking for a stretch on the right side, and we're looking for this side to shorten. So we can even use these muscles to pull ourselves into that position. Once we get to the end of that range of motion, we start to roll backwards. Backwards. Keeping our head long. We're not just dropping our head back. We're keeping the spine long through there, and we're trying to get this extension through the upper spine here. So we're not pushing our pelvis forward and dumping back. We're coming here and we're going backwards as much as we can. And then once we hit the end of that range, we start to rotate over to the right side. Here, we're going to come to the end of that movement and drop our right shoulder to our right hip. This is a place where I struggle with. Remember, you can use these muscles to pull yourself in and then roll back to center and reset. Here we go, let's do it again. Flexion of the spine, dumping our head forward, getting as much of that as we can without getting our pelvis involved. Rotate to the right. Here we drop our right shoulder to the right hip, trying not to shift our pelvis anywhere, keeping that in cement. Now we roll back, extension of the spine, backwards, backwards. Cross to the other side, left shoulder to left hip. Rotating into that space and then back to center. So I will show you, I disengaged there a little soon. You should, when you come back to center, definitely come up. Still with integrity. So I'm going to show you, at risk of making a microphone massacre, with the shoulders hugged, with a full hug across the body. So here you can let the elbows really do the circling. So get those elbows pointing down. And here you might even feel more in that upper back with this position. Rolling, 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 rolling. So you're drawing a big circle with these elbows. And you want to make sure you can really hug yourself there. And it's this rotation. Keeping the hips stable and just getting it through the spine. So now we're going to do some spinal segmental movement. So for here, you may be familiar with like the yoga move they call the cat-cow or whatever else, I don't know, there's all sorts of crazy names for it. That's basically what this is, except we are trying to, instead of just being kind of floppy like a fish with it, we are going to really attempt to control the movement of our spine as much as possible. So let's start here in quadruped, and we're going to start. So if you're unfamiliar with any of these movements, I'm just going to describe them really quick. So this movement of the pelvis, right? This is an anterior. When you stick your butt out, that's an anterior tilt of the pelvis. When you tuck your butt under like this, which I think would be the cat, I don't know, that's a posterior tilt of the pelvis and a flexion of the lower spine. So as you can see, my lower spine is kind of rounded up here. Here my lower spine is, my belly button is going to the floor. There's an arch in my lower back. That's an extension of my lumbar spine. So flexion, posterior tilt, extension, anterior tilt. And then the rest of the spinal movement is the same. So if I'm in this rounded out, this is a flexion of my thoracic spine. If I'm in this extended position of the lumbar spine, my thoracic spine is also an extension. So we are going here to here, here to here. So it's a wonderful movement for the joints of our spine, something that we often overlook in daily movement. And when we are missing some of these movements of these segments of our spinal column, we can get all sorts of compensations elsewhere. So let's start in the anterior tilt, pushing of the butt out, extended spine. So here, our head's going to be up, our butt's pushing out, and we're going to slowly start to posteriorly tilt our pelvis so it's rolling underneath us. And we're going to try to do this one vertebrae at a time as best as we can. So here it's almost like we're avoiding a flame with our belly button. Like there's a flame underneath us and we're pushing up to avoid it. It's going to round out and turtle our spine. So to add a little bit here, you can also be pushing your hands into the floor and pushing your knees into the floor and trying to spread the floor away. So I'm trying to push my hands this way, push my knees this way, and I'm trying to rip this yoga mat apart as I go into this posterior tuck of the pelvis and flexion of the spine. And I'm attempting to do this one vertebrae at a time. It's very, very difficult. And then you're going to get all the way to this position where your head is down. Hopefully you've got some flexion in that spine there. You're pushing into the floor. And now we're going to go the opposite direction. So instead of pushing our hands away, we're going to start to bring our hands towards us, as well as our knees, like we're trying to now bring the floor together. And we're going to start at the pelvis again. So the pelvis is going to anteriorly tilt, like if we had a spotlight on our tailbone, it's going to the ceiling. So this is going to kind of round our belly button to the floor a little bit and arch our lower back. And keep that going one vertebrae at a time. So now start to feel it in your ribs, if you can. Now your upper back, space between your shoulder blades, all the way up to the neck. And fully back where we started. So now we're going to do the same thing, just go in the other direction. So now we're going to use the head first. So the head is going to gently drop the rest of the spine. If you can, keep it in that extended position as the head drops down. And here we go, pushing the hands into the floor, looking for that rounding of the upper back, getting that turtle back there if we can. Letting that drift down into the lower spine, using our abs here, avoiding that flame under our belly button, bringing that up. You can hear the effort in my voice because this is quite difficult. And now we reverse again with the head first. So the head is the first thing to raise up to the ceiling. The rest of the spine, if we can keep it flexed, keep it flexed. Now pull the hands towards the knees. Raise the upper back. The chest is opening up. Ribs are opening up. Getting that extension through the spine. Trying to get it all the way down slowly to the pelvis. Good. So that's a segmental movement of our spine. It's quite difficult. So what I recommend is first just do some kind of global movements of the spine, not being too specific with it at first, just to warm up, especially if you're not used to these types of movements. If you are, then go right into the segmental work. But if you're not, it's good to just move around, getting used to this position. And then you want to go really slow. So thinking about vertebrae by vertebrae up the back, feeling with your mind each movement as you go through the whole series. It's not easy, so just, go slow. Give yourself leeway to not be good at it. I'm still doing that with myself, and I've been doing it for quite a while. So again, as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I hope this video was helpful for you and that it gave you some some good movements to do for your spine, and if so, let me know. Thank you so much for watching.